Hey there, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me for another live. This is my second in the live series that I'm just doing just to share some goodness because I love teaching. I love sharing. I love being able to share goodness with people. So I really hope and pray that what I'm sharing, the message that I'm bringing is really of benefit. And tonight, or in this session, I am really excited. I'm always excited, but I'm really excited for this one because it's probably one of my greatest passion points and a topic that I am super passionate about in sharing because it is something that a lot of people are really battling with at the moment, and they're really hungry to learn and to find really some sort of some freedom from it. And so tonight I'm going to be sharing all about how to find our sweet spot, or how to live in our sweet spot, and how to find balance in a busy world. And I've just got back from 2 days of being away and sharing on this topic in Toowoomba. I did a whole heap of stuff while I was there. I was only there for 36 hours, but it was so jam-packed. And I packed a lot in, and it was just all about this topic. I got to share in a few different settings about the power of self-care, how to create balance, how to find balance in a busy world, and how to just live in that sweet spot. So I'm going to be sharing it again tonight, and I'm just so pumped, so excited. So when you're on, can you please make sure that you just say hey, let me know you're here, say hi, because yeah, I want to know who I'm talking to, and I would love to know your feedback, your comments, so please make sure you get in there, you engage. I will answer everyone, whether it's live as we're doing this or whether it's later on a replay. I will most certainly get in there, respond, because I want to know what you think and engage with you. This is what this whole thing of being live is all about. So welcome, I'm so pumped, so excited. And feeling a little bit weary because I have, like I said, been on the road and had a couple of days out and about, but I'm so pumped to bring this message, super excited. Hey there, hey Arima, good to see you, beautiful lady. Hey Ash, really good to have you along. And so I'm just going to launch straight in, and as people start to build and join, they can just add comments and everything like that. So basically I want to talk about, overwhelm and feeling overloaded. And this is something that we are constantly faced with and constantly battling at the moment. You think about the world that we live in. It's unlike a time. It's like a time unlike any other. And I haven't lived in another time, so I don't really know what it would have been like 100 years ago. I only know what it's like to live in this time. But when you think about the role that women have and the responsibility, it's pretty huge. It's like I said, it's unlike any other time in history. And men as well, but I don't know what it's like to be a man. I only know what it's like to be a woman, so I can only speak from that perspective. But you think about the role of women and what we have to carry. We're expected to not only run a household and be wives and mothers and volunteer, but for a lot of women, it's also to work full time. And that's a really big thing. You think about all those different jobs, all those different roles. It's a pretty heavy load, and it can take its toll. It has a really heavy cost, and it just breaks my heart to see so many women out there who are just absolutely being taken out, just buckling under the pressure, because it is a big load. And so tonight what I want to share is some strategies about how we can actually sustain that load, how we can handle it better, how we can live in our sweet spot, how we can find balance. Yes, it's possible. It's not only possible, it's actually God's heart for us to not just to be surviving and trying to get through another day, but to actually be thriving with the life that he has blessed us with. So I hope that sounds good to you. It's stuff that I've been navigating for a long time in my life. And when we talk about extremes, living in the sweet spot is in the middle, that sort of sweet spot where we have that sense of just peace, able to just relax, able to just be still in between extremes. And for me, I know all about living in extremes. My life has been pretty extreme at times, and if you don't know my story, I'm not going to share it tonight, but I will share the link in the description that you can jump on afterwards and watch. But it just, yeah, I know extremes. I know what it's like to live in extremes, but I also know what it's like to live in the sweet spot. And so I want to just share a little bit about some strategies you can implement in your life so you can just thrive and just live God's absolute best. So, you know, being overwhelmed, being overloaded, this is just our lifestyle. This is our culture. There is so much going on. We are constantly on. We're constantly switched on. We have our devices, which I am really grateful for, because they enable us to do stuff like this, to connect and to be able to reach and stay in contact with people like never before. But like I said, there's a cost, there's a load that comes with that. And so, you know, how do we direct that so that it produces great stuff as opposed to paralyzing us and taking us out in the process? You know, a couple of things, you know, why we're overloaded and why we're feeling maybe a little bit heavy burdened. Two reasons I really believe, and I'm going to address them and not just talk to them, but also, you know, talk about what can we do about it. So the first one is that we have really good intentions. We have really good intentions, but our good intentions come at a cost. And the other thing is that we don't really understand the principle or the power of self-care. And that's what I want to delve into a little bit tonight. So I don't know if you're like me, and I think as a woman, I'm really hardwired to want to help and to want to assist others, and really, you know, if I see a need, I want to be just totally in there. And, you know, I get asked, you know, can I come and, you know, for example, I'll just use examples that might not be applicable to my life, but might be applicable to your life. You know, so we have all these things we have to do. We have this huge to-do list. You know, we've got to make lunches, iron clothes, we've got to get the kids to school, we've got to be going to that meeting, we've got to go to the doctor's appointment, we've got to email our boss, we've got to call back that friend who's in need. There's this super urgent, important thing we need to do. We might be needing to go coach our son's soccer team, we might be going to volunteer on tuck shop, we might be serving at a church function, we might be, you know, all these things that are on our to-do list. And our to-do lists are massive. And often it's all these very important, amazing things to help others and serve and love on other people. But what you'll find at the bottom of the to-do list, I don't know if this is anyone out there, but it's there's a little person called me who's right at the bottom of the to-do list. And you could have 20 things on your list, you could have 105, but often you know, we put ourselves at the bottom of that to-do list. Is that like anyone else? If that's you, can you like let me know? Because I know that was me for a very long time, where there is 100 million things screaming at me that are all important, that all need my attention, and I am at the absolute bottom of that to-do list. Hey Jules, good to have you here, lovely lady. So yeah, big to-do lists, lots of stuff going on in our lives. We're constantly on, we're constantly contactable, and we're often right at the bottom of our to-do list. I don't know if anyone else is like that. You're gone quiet on me. So maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe you guys have got it all under control and you're like totally balanced and don't need it. Okay. Yes, I see it coming through now. Okay. Yes. All right. So the reason that happens is because of one little word, and that little word is yes. So we get asked to do things and we just say, yes, I can do that. 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 Yes, I want to, you know, be a part of that and help and all those sort of things, you know, and so we say yes and we want to be there and want to help, and it's because we have good intentions, because it feels good to be needed. It feels good to help others, you know, but it comes at a cost. So I don't know if you have seen that movie. Has anyone seen that movie, Yes Man? Yes Man with Jim Carrey, which is absolutely hilarious. But in theory, as a movie, it's hilarious. He says yes to everything and he has this amazing life, and it's really a feel-good movie. So in theory, that's great, but in reality, as a practical, that is a horrible strategy for life. Because if we say yes to everything, you know, and we try and be everything to everyone, then we end up being nothing to no one, because we're trying to keep all these balls in the air. We're trying to juggle heaps. We're dropping the ball because we're constantly trying to, you know, juggle all these different aspects of life that we've said yes to. And often what happens with that is we end up having little puddle moments. And I don't know if you have a puddle moment. And the puddle moment I'm talking about is this. Now just bear with me for a second. The puddle moment, the puddle moment. I've been talking non-stop for a couple of days. So the puddle moment is you know, like the hysterical ugly cry where you like can't even breathe and you're like so worked up and you're just so there's just like been so much on your plate because you either look at your schedule and you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? Because you've said yes to too many things, or, you know, you just are feeling so overloaded and so overwhelmed because maybe you haven't had enough sleep or all these different things. So we feel totally overwhelmed, overloaded, have a puddle moment. And for me, I know I used to have a lot of puddle moments really regularly, and because it was because of that one little word called yes. And that is because I had good intentions to be out there and to help the world and be amazing, because I can be and do it all. I want to do it all. I want to help everyone. I want to save the world, right? And so, yeah, puddle moments, they are not such a good thing to be having regularly, and saying yes to everything as a strategy is not such a good idea. But there is a strategy and a solution that I have, and I really want to share that with you tonight. So I want to really just touch on the power of self-care, because like I said, we have these good intentions and it's with a good heart because we want to help. But actually what it's doing is it's just completely taking us out of the game, and it comes at a really big cost. So a lot of the clients who I work with are women who are burnt out and overwhelmed and stressed, and often in adrenal burnout. I think we're back. Okay, I think we're back. My internet always seems to just drop out when I'm trying to do a live. That's interesting. Anyway, so a lot of the girls, a lot of clients who I work with, they're you know, either in that adrenal burnout, adrenal fatigue, or they're very close to it. And I just want to talk really quickly just about that. So the cost of yes is two things. The cost of saying yes to everything, and yes, puddle moments, but the cost is two things, and they're pretty serious, and I just want to really quickly just touch on them. So adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue, what that looks like, I've worked with clients who've been in bed for years on end, you know, 5-6 years on end, where they just cannot get out of bed. So we have adrenaline. Adrenaline is a thing that we've been designed with and created with. It's a hormone. It's something that kicks into gear when we need to be at that high output phase, where we need to be switched on and we need to be whatever it is, that big rush of energy to try and do whatever that thing is we need to do. But like I said, the way that our culture is currently constructed and functioning is that we are running at that high output, high performance level constantly and consistently, and not giving ourselves a chance to repair and to rest. And so basically what that means is you can just totally deplete your adrenal glands. You can totally just run out of adrenaline. It's not like something that, you know, is just constantly pumping through. Like I said, we need to rest to be able to recharge that. And if we don't give ourselves that opportunity to rest, it just gets depleted and it's gone. And I want you to think about it like this. It's like when you cook with gas and you just turn it on and you click it to get it to spark, to ignite, so you can, you know, cook with gas. It's like you're just turning it on, you're trying to click the switch, you're trying to, you know, click the spark, but there's no gas in the tank. And so you can be yelling at the stove like, what is wrong with you? But it's not that, you know, the stove's a bad stove. It's just that maybe your tank is out of gas, you know. And so unlike a gas tank where we can easily switch it over, we can't do that with our adrenal glands. We can't do that with adrenaline. And the only way to really recover from that is very intensive treatment and rest. Okay? So our body, you know, when it gets to that phase, it's because you haven't listened to it for maybe 10, 20 years. You've been running at that very high output level. And so your body goes, hey, you haven't listened to me. You haven't taken note of the stopping cues I've been trying to give you. So I'm going to make you sit up and take notice. But actually people, they don't sit up. They're like totally out, completely down for the count, in bed for years. And that breaks my heart, because how can we be effective? How can we fulfill the God-given call and purpose on each of our lives if we are laid up in bed, unable to even care for our children or care for ourselves or care for our husband? You know, our body will make us stop if we don't listen. So that's really a huge cost, a very huge cost. And I'm trying to build it up and make you grab a hold of it, because I work with girls who it is the most horrible thing to see, where they are just a living shell. And it's not because of some, physical condition. It's not because of something that's going on, a disease. It's a lifestyle condition, because we haven't listened to our body, we haven't taken note, we haven't cared for ourselves. So it's a big deal. The second thing, the second cost of yes, is not being quite at that burnout phase, but living in grey, living where you're sort of pushing that almost burnout phase all the time, where you just don't have any pep and you don't have energy and you're constantly running, not right on empty, but very close to it. And everything just feels in grey and you don't have energy and passion and zest for life. So they're the two costs of saying yes. So I just want you to grab a hold of that. So I've built it all up. I know I've probably been all doom and gloom and everything like that. But just sit tight, because I do have some solutions for what we can do. And I just want to share the principle and the power of self-care, because when you understand that, it completely changes everything. So we want to go and love on people. We want to go and help. We want to go and be assistance. But I want you to just think of a cup. So I've got a few little things tonight to help me demonstrate. So a little cup. And so if I was coming to you, and you imagine if you are, zonked after a really big day and all you want is a nice hot cup of tea, or maybe you want a hot chocolate with a couple of marshmallows in it, or maybe a triple mocha caramel shot latte or something. I don't know if that's even a thing, because I don't drink coffee. But you imagine if you were just sitting there and you're like, oh, I could just go for insert hot drink of choice right there, right? Okay, and you saw me coming towards you and you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, that's just what I need. You read my mind. And I come to you and I give you just this empty cup. And you'd be feeling pretty ripped off, right? You'd be like, oh, this is rubbish. This is not good at all. I was just banking on having a beautiful hot cuppa and you've brought me nothing, right? So I've come and given you this empty cup, but you really needed to be filled. But that's how we're tracking around. If we're running on empty, or we're running on, nearly close to empty constantly, we can't pour from an empty cup. We can't give from what we haven't received first. We can't give if we're running on empty. Does that make sense? I hope it does for you, because it's a really powerful just illustration and analogy for me of the power of self-care. And this is not just something that I've made up, or that, people out in the wellness movement have made up. This is actually biblical. This is God's heart for us. So, in Matthew 22:37, it's talking about, the commandments and what is the greatest commandment. And Jesus says, greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength. So love him. This is the first and greatest commandment. But the second one is to love others as you love yourself, or love others as well as you love yourself. And so as Christians, we do the first two words in that sentence so well. Love others, full stop. But that's not actually what that verse is saying. That's not what that sentence is saying. It's saying to love others as well as you love yourself. So my challenge question is, how can we love others well if we don't love ourselves well first? So the measure that we've loved and cared for ourselves, that's the measure that we can go and love and care for others. So if I haven't loved myself well, if I haven't cared for my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, my social health, if I haven't cared for myself and my needs, and I haven't loved up on myself, then what am I actually giving? Am I actually really loving and caring on others well, if I'm just sort of snapping at them, or if I'm just giving them, the dregs or the bare minimum, because I haven't filled up first, I haven't poured into my cup first, and I'm just sort of pouring out the dregs, or, pouring from empty. So that's something so, so powerful to think about. And, I think about all the time, God reminds me, he goes, Stace, you are not me. You are not God. Okay, he has designed each of us with these healthy limits and healthy boundaries, and he's designed us with the need to care for ourselves, and it's his principle to go and be able to care for others. And I think of Jesus. Jesus walked this earth. He was, He was God in human form, and he walked the earth. And I just imagine about the need he would have seen, and the horrors, and the, you know, the broken people, and the people he would have wanted to go love on. And there are so many instances in the Bible when Jesus withdrew. He withdrew to go sleep, to go rest, to go pray, to be quiet, to be still, to connect with the Father, to recharge. You know, and if Jesus could do that, if he saw the power of self-care and that principle, then that's good enough for me. You know, it's his heart, it's God's heart, it's his principle that we would care for ourselves first, so we can love and care for others at a greater measure, that we can impact more when we're full. Yeah, so I really believe that it's the enemy would love to run us ragged and take us out of the game by either keeping us living in grey, or, you know, burnt out with adrenal fatigue, so that we're unable to fulfill the calling that God has for each and every one of us. So, you know, don't let that enemy drive your good intentions and make you push past the healthy boundaries and the limits that God has for us. You know, that's totally a counterfeit for actually what God wants us to experience, the fullness of the life he has for each and every one of us. So that's just a little thought about self-care and the power of self-care. So what does that look like? Well, we've been doing a couple of things, and I'm going to continue on with this. Last week we talked about the power of a vision. So you need to know, number one, your worth. You need to know that you have a unique worth that no one else on this planet has. You know, no one else can do what you have been called to do. And so if you have been taken out of the game, or if you're running on empty and you're trying to do everything and be everything to everyone, you know, which means we're sort of being nothing to no one, then the person or the people or the thing that you're meant to do, the people miss out. People miss out on that thing that only you can do. So you have a unique worth that is so, so, so great, you know, that only you can do it. So you need to know your worth and realize that I'm worthy of care, that I have something special that only I can do on this planet. So I need to care for myself so that I can do that well. So that's number one. Number two is that you have a vision, so you know your why. So we got to have that. We've got to have our why. And we did the vision in my session last week, and you can, you know, go back and have a look for it. And also you can jump on and download the free vision tool that I shared with you guys. So if you find that, it's from a week ago, you can jump on and download that so you can create your why. So knowing your worth, knowing your why, and then the last one is to know your limits. And I've already sort of talked about that, but functioning and living within the healthy boundaries and the limits of which God has created for us to stay within, because he knows, you know, we need rest. We need to, you know, care for ourselves. And so with doing that, what that looks like in a practical sense is that we need to prioritize our schedule. Actually, that's wrong. I'm telling you a fib. We don't need to prioritize our schedule, right? That's wrong. So prioritizing our schedule is like, you know, having our big to-do list and trying to make sure which one's most important and where do I sort of prioritize those things. It's not. It's actually about scheduling in our priorities. Scheduling in our priorities. And so for me, I call these my non-negotiables. And these are the things that I don't negotiate on no matter what. I mean, if there was like an apocalypse and the world was ending, I might probably negotiate on them. But probably like 99% of the time, I'm rock solid on my non-negotiables, and they take precedent over everything else in my life. And your non-negotiables are not your 10 to do things in your day. They are the things that you need to do, or that you know that when you do them, life just flows so much easier. You feel better. You're able to tackle life and tackle all the sort of, you know, inconsistencies and uncertainties of life, because life doesn't, you know, it rarely goes to plan. But when these things happen, I know that my life just flows so much better, and I can handle, I'm more well positioned to be able to handle what happens with life. So those few things are number one for me, and this is going to look different for everyone, and it's going to look different in different seasons as well. So in previous seasons, these things look different to this season, but my four at the moment, my four non-negotiables, and they go in my week, and everything else has to fit around. So number one is time with God each and every morning. And so that's quiet time with a cup of tea and just being still to set my tone for the day. So it could be 5 minutes, some days it's half an hour, but just being still and just, you know, connecting with God and setting my tone for the day like that. Because if I roll out of bed and I've hit snooze 5 times and I'm all hyped up and already I've got the adrenaline running, you know, I've got this frantic attitude, atmosphere that I'm carrying, this frantic atmosphere, that's the atmosphere that I take with me into the day. And, you know, so thinking about if I'm, you know, what kind of presence am I carrying? What sort of atmosphere am I carrying? For me, I want to take just something that I'm already balanced and I've been still and I, you know what I'm meant to be doing for the day, and I take that with me into the day. So for me, it's time with God at the start of the day. Number 2 is that I move my body every day. And some days that means an intense workout at the gym. Other days it's just a gentle beach walk. Some days it might be riding a bike to go to the markets to get food. Some days it might be walking with a girlfriend while she's pushing her bub in the pram. We catch up. Some days it's climbing a mountain. Sometimes it's going for a surf. Like, it's different all the time, but I move my body every day. And if I don't do that, my daughter always says to me, "Mom, you need to go to the gym." Because she knows that when when I've cared for myself, then I'm in so much a better mood. I'm able to be a better mum. So this is the principle of self-care. This is the power of self-care. You know, the people in the world around you, they reap the benefits. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. Okay, it's not selfish, it's essential. My husband, I was going to say my wife, my husband and my daughter reap the benefits when I have cared for myself first, because I'm so much better positioned to care for them and care for others, the world around me. So number 1, time with God. Number 2, move my body. Number 3 is time with my hubby every day to connect. We do that after he gets home from work for sort of 15-20 minutes, debrief about our day, have that quality time. It's really important to us. And then the last one is I have a date afternoon with my daughter, 1 afternoon a week. And she knows that for an hour, that 1 afternoon a week, that she has me all to herself and she gets to choose to do whatever she wants. And normally it's us having chocolate milkshakes, or she has a, you know, big chocolate thing. I don't know. I just say go for it. And we sit and we talk and we connect, and she just loves that time. And if she doesn't get that time, I really notice that she's just not quite herself, not her best self anyway. And I can guarantee you that something will always want to intrude on that time, whether it's an appointment, you know, anything that would a work, you know, can I work at that time? Can, you know, some urgent thing comes up, can I do that? I can guarantee you that it always is wanting to be in that time slot. And I say, I'm really sorry, I can't do it at that time, I have an appointment. Now, I don't say what the appointment is, but the appointment is with my daughter. Okay, and people don't mess with appointments. They just think you're having brain surgery, right? But I have an appointment with my daughter, and I'm not changing that because that would show her that she is negotiable. And I want her to know that she is my priority. And it's the same with my health and moving my body. That is my priority because I know when I am at my best, I'm able to impact others and be so much better with the world around me. So that's the power of self-care. That is the power of self-care. And I want to encourage you to get some non-negotiables in place. It should only be 3 to 4, no more. And it will really help you to then let the rest of your life fill in around it, and your life will just flow from there. I guarantee you. So that's my few tips about self-care. And I just wanted to show you one more thing just before, you know, I sign off for the night. So I have like a little plate here. And I have some balls, and you know, so imagine we say yes to things, and that's a good thing because, you know, we're meant to have stuff. We're back. Okay, cool. So I have my plate, I have my balls, and so we say yes. So, you know, it's whether it's, you know, for me it's investing my heart and my passion and my energy into Healthy Happy Soul, my husband, my daughter, you know, doing a few other little things that I know are good, you know, so we're saying yes, and we put these things on our plate, and that's good. Whoop, I'm dropping my balls. And we're meant to say yes, and we load up our plate. But what's happening when we say yes, you know, we say yes to more and more and more, and we keep trying to balance more. And like I said, you're amazing, you're brilliant, you can do and be it all, but you're not designed to. So let's work on doing less well. Okay, so we load up our plate, and what's the thing is, if we say yes to something, we just try and add more on our plate as opposed to taking something off our plate. So every time you say yes to something and you add something on, you've got to take something else off. You just can't keep loading up this plate. Otherwise, you're going to end up in adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue, and that's not where you want to be. And it's not God's heart, and it's not his plan and purpose for you. So if we load up our plate, like I said, and then what happens is then all of a sudden we get too overloaded and we start to have puddle moments, and we go, do you know what we do? We go, I don't want to do any of it. Okay, and we just might throw it all away and just go, I don't want to do anything, and we just want to cry and have puddle moments all the time. That is not God's heart for you, and that's not how life has to look. Yeah, so having our plate, loading up our plate, it's not about better time management. You know, balance is not about better time management. It's about better boundary management. It's about knowing our worth, knowing our why, knowing our limits. What am I going to say yes to? Where am I called in this season? And what do I need to say no to? Okay, so when you know that, it makes it really easy to balance your plate, to know what you got to load on. When you say yes to something new, you got to take something off, because otherwise we're just having these perpetual puddle moments, and that's not God's heart. That's not his best for you. No way, no way, no way. So I really pray and hope that that encouraged you, beautiful peeps. Make sure you let me know in the comments below what resonated for you. And if you want to learn a little bit more, if you want to engage with this in a deeper way, you can jump on and grab my free ebook. And it's 7 daily do's for a healthy, happy soul. So just 7 things you can do every single day just to help you to create that balance. It's not about finding balance. It's about creating it. And you're the only one who can create it. You have the choice. You have the choice what you say yes to, what you say no to, and it's up to you. Your boundaries, how are you going to manage them? And it's God's heart for you. So you can jump on. I'm going to put the link in the description below after I finish this. And also, we're going to walk this out as a tribe for the next few days. So you can join our free just community Facebook group, the Healthy Happy Soul community. And we're in there championing each other, encouraging each other. And I'm going to put up some homework for how we're going to continue to walk this out, creating those better boundaries, good time management, knowing our limits, all those sort of things in there. So I'll put the limit. I think I'm out of words, been talking too much for the last couple of days. I'm going to put the link down in the description below so you can jump on and engage with that as well, and that would just be awesome, peeps. So you are amazing. Bless your heaps. Thank you for joining me. I hope it added value to your life, and if it did, please would you share this with someone or tag someone else in who needs this message, because this is a message that needs to be shared. It needs to be captured. That we need to grab a hold of this, because like I said, it breaks my heart to see peeps just taken out of the game and taken out of the calling and the purpose that God has called them to and has for them. So bless your heaps. You're amazing. I will catch you later. Bye.